first, let's move along to our next guest. What a huge win for him on Saturday. One of his most impressive performances ever. And that's saying a lot because no one has fought in the UFC more than him. 30 UFC fights, his 30th on Saturday. He won in Dallas via rear naked choke in just 1 minute and 29 seconds. We're talking to the veteran, Jim Miller, right now. Jim, how are you?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me on, bud.
Congratulations on the win. What a performance. Is it possible after 30 UFC fights that your best performance was the 30th? Is that possible?
Maybe. You know, I've been training to get better, you know, in these last 10 years. I mean, since I started MMA, but, you know, in the UFC, I've been trying to get better every single day. You know, and it hasn't always been easy, but I feel like I've been doing it, and it was nice to go out and perform like I know that I can, you know, and kind of just really just take the pressure off myself and know that I still got that in me.
At what point did you know that you were making history with this fight? Is this something that you keep track of?
Yeah, I knew that I was tied, you know, for at 29. So I feel like I could have already gotten the 30 like 2 fights ago. There were, you know, 2 occasions where they shelved me a little bit to wait for New York, New Jersey area cards. But you know, it was never like the goal. But I knew I'd just keep fighting, and you know, I don't turn fights down, you know. So you know, I was just looking for fights, and was able to stay healthy this long and get there.
No secret that you were on the 4-fight losing streak. You had not won since November of 2016. Did you feel like you were fighting for your job on Saturday?
A little bit, yeah, definitely. You know, I mean, it was there was definitely pressure because of that, and you know, I mean, it's not the end of the world to get cut by the UFC, but you know, I want to be here. I want to be competing against the guys in this division, and I mean, there was pressure on me, and most of it was put on me by myself, knowing that I haven't performed in the last few fights, and you know, really wanting to go out and do what I'm capable of doing.
What would have happened if things didn't go your way? Is it possible you would have retired?
I don't know. I don't think so. You know, it probably would have been the end of the UFC for me. But you know, I think I could have found a home someplace else. And I've been feeling pretty good in these last couple months. And the thing is you don't know what's going to happen fight night. You honestly don't. And you know, it really is a crapshoot when it comes right down to it, because you don't really control anything. I mean, you control how much, you know, your effort, what you put into it, and your outlook. You know, that's about it. I mean, I've had stupid things happen to me that were, you know, injuring myself in a fight, and you know, it's just silly things that happen. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that I would not have retired if it didn't go my way, but fortunately, it did.
That was your 29th pro win, but again, your first in almost 2 years. Is this something that you forget, like that feeling of getting your hand raised, that emotion, the jubilation? Did you miss that feeling? Did you forget what it felt like? How would you describe experiencing it after the layoff?
You know, it's not something I forgot. More so, you know, every time I'm in the cage, I'm trying to compete better than I can. I'm asking more out of myself than I know that I'm capable of. And I mean, that's just my attitude, you know. I'm always looking to do better. And I mean, even that fight, minute and a half, he still punched me. He still landed shots, and you know, it's still one of those things that it wasn't perfect. it still wasn't perfect. And, that's what I'm striving for. So, I mean, I've had tough outs where, it's a heck of a fight and been satisfied with it because I went out and fought as hard as I could for 15 minutes and, and still lost. But, I've had wins that were pretty crummy, and I'm not very proud of them. But that's just me, and that's the standard that I hold myself to. So it was fun to go out and to let it out again too, though. So and be fired up about it.
You talked afterwards about battling the Lyme disease, and you've talked about this before, but you said that for the first time, it feels like your head is a little bit above water. And I'm wondering if you have a theory as to why. I know you say you fight this every day, and I know that just following you on social media, you're constantly talking about it. I saw today even the photo that you posted, the amount of vitamins that you have to take. Why all of a sudden do you feel like your head is finally above water?
Well, it's dealing with Lyme disease. It's not a quick fix. If you catch it early and you go on a course of antibiotics, you can get rid of it. Unfortunately, I had mine for, almost 3 years before I was diagnosed with it and started a course of antibiotics. And when it gets that hold on you and it gets that deep, it's difficult to get rid of. And it's a long haul. It's a marathon, So I felt a lot better in 2016 when I was first started, my course of doxycycline, and I mean, it was day and night, the difference, but it still wasn't. I still wasn't like healed, and I knew that, and I still wasn't able to train and compete like I had in the past. But starting this year, I kind of tried some different things and was really diligent with my supplements and medication and stuff like that because, like I said, it is a marathon, and sometimes it gets in the way, man. I mean, it's like I like to work out with an empty stomach, and I can't take my pills on an empty stomach. So so I always deal with the battle of, like, do I eat before training and then train like, or do I wait to take my medicine after training, but then sometimes forget because then you're dealing with family things and running around with the kids and all this stuff. So life just gets in the way. But like I said, I've been pretty good with it, and really probably like end of February, beginning of March, really started seeing a change in the way that I was able to train. And I've been feeling good. And like I said, it's just about the consistency, staying on the attack, and like I said, being diligent with it.
Can it ever go away, or is it with you forever?
It can go away, and it can stick with you for a long freaking time. I mean, I went back and I watched the fight, and I heard Rogan talking about it, and him saying that my case is the worst he's seen, and that's a little bit. I appreciate him saying that. I appreciate him seeing my struggle, but it's also heartbreaking to me because I've seen and met people that have it tens of times worse than I do. And it's made my life as a professional athlete more difficult. It's made my life as a father and a husband more difficult, and business owner and everything else. But I haven't had to give that stuff up. I've been able to, even scratching and clawing my way at points, to continue, keeping those roles and keeping those parts of my lives. And there are people that they lose parts of themselves. They people have to stop going to college. They have to quit their jobs. And even knowing what they have and trying to treat it, and their cases are just so bad. It's pretty rough, when you look at it. And the worst part about the whole thing is that it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's really one of the biggest pains in the ass about it, is that there's no definitive test for it. There's no definitive treatment for it. It's basically an individual thing. And once you find out you have it, the way that you attack it has to basically be designed just for you, and you have to find what works for you.
Do you know exactly when you got it? It's from a tick bite, right?
Yeah. I wasn't sure for a while, and then as I've become more educated about the disease, I'm pretty certain that it was probably in like May or June of 2013.
Wow.
I had just a really weird couple weeks of to me, a flu-like symptoms, stuff like that, it's just, I'm not going to remember it, but I had a really weird spell of kind of extreme nausea, to where if I smelled anything strong, I would get pretty nauseous and and dry heave and stuff, taking the garbage out, changing one of the kids' diapers, stuff like that it would set me off. And then I had a series of migraines over a couple, it was 2 weeks that I had 10 migraines. And, I went to an ENT, went to a neurologist, got tested, and, got an MRI done, all this stuff. They tested me for Lyme at the time. But I still I don't test positive for Lyme. I'm one of the 50% of men that don't test positive for it. And it's even a less percent, of women that have it test positive for it. So if I had gone on a course of doxycycline at that time, I might not have had to deal with it, but we just didn't know.
Wow.
And that's just the way that it goes, and that's the issue with it. Not having a solid test for it too.
By the way, did you see that earlier in the week? I'm not sure if you're familiar. I don't think you're a fan of this type of music, but Avril Lavigne came out and said that she's battling Lyme disease. Did you see this?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I've heard about it for quite a while. Yeah, it's crazy. It's totally indiscriminate. Men, women, children, the elderly. It doesn't matter. An odd thing is that it seems that there are quite a few people in the music industry, performers and people close to them, spouses and stuff like that have been affected by it. Her story is pretty crazy.
when do you want to return?
I already asked Sean Shelby I want to fight, and again before the end of the year.
Okay.
I asked him for Milwaukee. I know there's a Vegas card coming up right after that at the end of the year. Either one of those would be great.
Anyone in particular?
Nope.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
And it's
Doesn't
amazing.
matter who it is.
What's so amazing is you said around May or June of 2013. I think you fought 13 times since then. You broke the record for most appearances, all while battling this disease that can cripple you, that can make you not want to do anything, let alone train for a fight. That's what I love so much about the fact that you're the one to now be the sole owner of this record. 30. It's just the juxtaposition is just so incredible and speaks to your mental toughness. And there's some guys who are on your tail. I'm assuming you'd like to put a little distance between you and them, right?
It honestly has nothing to do with that. There are a couple guys that are right behind me, and they're going at a little bit faster pace than I am. I just like to fight, and at this point, there's so many other things. Like I got into that probably in 2011 is when some of the training that we were doing was probably a little bit extreme. too much live stuff like that. I started to get banged up and have to take time off after fights. I was too beat up going into fights. Like particularly when I fought Kamal Shahrus. I mean, that was probably the closest I've ever been to pulling out of a fight. I was so banged up going into that one. So there was a time where I started taking time off, started taking a couple weeks off, and then it got really hard to get back into it, and both physically and just like life is in the way. Like I said, I have 4 kids, so it's like you're running around between different extracurricular activities for every one of them. So there's always something to pull me away now. So I would rather just, I'm going to get in as many as I can in the next, 2 years or so, and let's do it. It really doesn't. The record is cool, and being the first to 30 is really cool. But it's not. It doesn't. It's not going to bother me if or when one of those guys, passes me.
For now, enjoy it. Enjoy the record. Enjoy the victory. So great to have you back, Jim, and keep doing what you're doing in terms of educating the public and speaking out on this. I know it's not very easy, but you're doing a great job, and you're an inspiration. So thanks so much for doing this, Jim. All the best to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
All right, there he is, Jim Miller. Big win for him on Saturday night, and now we look forward to seeing if he gets another fight by the end of the year.